The second day of the Canadian Bishops' Plenary Assembly started, as we always do, with prayer. The business of the day started with a report of the ad hoc committee on ministries, the ministry of lector, acolyte, and catechist. So the members of those committee has been working hard during the past month. They have been studying, I would say, the pastoral, liturgical, and canonical implications of those three ministries. And they are preparing also a document which will be kind of guidelines for the admission and formations of candidates to those ministries. So we also received a report on the Reconciliation Fund and also on the pastoral accompaniment of our Indigenous brothers and sisters.
Well, we're currently and have been working with many of the initiatives with our Indigenous communities, furthering, reconciliation and healing. We're also talking about how we are continuing the Indigenous Reconciliation Fund. The collection of funds has allowed local dioceses to develop these committees to work with their local communities to identify projects. But also at the national level, we've collected close to 11.5 million, and over 60 projects across Canada have been funded already. And so I see that there has been a great sense of solidarity in raising funds, but also in some sense of subsidiarity. It's at the local level that these diocesan communities are working with Indigenous and beginning this path of accompaniment, identifying the projects that will promote healing and reconciliation. And I see that that's the key. It's at the local level that healing, forgiveness, and reconciliation will be possible. It's what our Holy Father said in his penitential pilgrimage here. The real work begins at the local level, and in many ways the Indigenous Reconciliation Fund is a means to promote that on our diocesan level and in our country.
In the afternoon, we also had the report from Archbishop Paul-André Durocher, who is the chair of the Standing Committee for Responsible Ministry for the Protection of Minors and Vulnerable Persons.
Quand on a publié ça en 2018, on n'était pas très attentif. De toute façon, on était plus centré sur les enfants.
This afternoon, the Standing Committee for Responsible Ministry looked at two questions. We brought two questions to the bishops for study. One of them is the question of the relationship of clergy with adults who are in positions of vulnerability. And the other question was codes of conduct for members of the clergy and other people involved in ministry in our church. When we published our guidelines for responsible ministry in 2018, those topics were hardly touched on. But the Me Too movement, for example, has taught us that a lot of adults who are in positions of vulnerability, because they're not the ones with the power, whether it be in the world of sports or of arts or, unfortunately, even of the church, can find themselves at the mercy of somebody who has that power. And so we need to be attentive to that, and we need to be safeguarding against that. And at the same time, one of the safeguards is developing codes of conduct for people. And many dioceses are starting to work on those codes of conduct. So today we had one rep from the Archdiocese of St. Boniface who presented the code of conduct that they've developed there as an example for the other dioceses.
At the end of the day, we also spoke about the next synod on synodality and the participation of some bishops and women and men who will take part of that event in October.
I'd say what we did was like a practice run. We took some of the questions that will be talked about at the synod, and we went in small groups and took each question and shared to see how profound this brings us to reflect on our way of being church today. So It's not just about themes, it's about us, our relationship with each other, how we listen to each other, how we listen together to the Lord, to His Spirit. And I think that is what we're going to experience in Rome during the whole month of the Synod.